Get ready, because today we're diving deep into the world of coffees.
Sounds invigorating.
You sent us this article about its history and cultural impact, and wow.
It's quite a story.
It really is. I mean, I knew coffee was a big deal,
Right.
but I had no idea just how much there is to learn.
Oh, absolutely. It's a journey that takes us across continents and centuries.
So where do we even begin with a story this massive?
Well, like any good story, we start at the beginning. And in the case of coffee, that takes us all the way to the Ethiopian highlands
Ethiopia.
with a goat herder named Kaldi and his very lively goats.
Okay, I've heard whispers of this legend. It's like the OG coffee origin story, right?
Yeah.
Something about goats getting a serious caffeine boost.
Exactly. Legend has it that Kaldi noticed his goats acting unusually energetic after munching on these bright red berries. From a particular type of shrub, this sparked his curiosity. And as the story goes, he decided to investigate. Now, whether he actually shared these magical berries with monks, who then brewed them into a drink to power through late-night prayers, well, that part's up for debate.
A little embellishment for dramatic effect, perhaps.
Perhaps.
But even if the details are a bit fuzzy, the core message is clear. Those early humans were incredibly observant of the natural world. The core message is clear, and that attentiveness led to coffee's discovery.
Precisely. And this discovery wasn't a one-off event. It marked the beginning of a long and winding journey for coffee, one that would eventually lead it across continents and into the heart of human civilization.
So from the Ethiopian highlands, where does coffee's adventure take us next?
Our next stop takes us to the bustling port city of Mocha in Yemen.
Yemen.
Imagine bustling marketplaces, the aroma of exotic spices filling the air, and amidst all this coffee found its footing, quickly becoming a cornerstone of Yemeni culture.
And this is where those vibrant coffee houses come into play, right? The coffeehouses,
The coffeehouses.
the original social hotspots.
Exactly.
I'm picturing something out of Arabian Nights.
Your imagination is spot on. But these coffeehouses were far more than just places to grab a drink. They were vibrant hubs of social and intellectual exchange, where people from all walks of life would gather to debate, share stories, listen to music, play games, even engage in a little business.
It's fascinating how coffee played such a pivotal role in shaping social dynamics. It wasn't just a drink, it was the fuel for connection and conversation, centuries before coffee date became a thing.
Absolutely. And this social aspect of coffee wasn't limited to Yemen. As coffee made its way across the globe, it carried this inherent power to bring people together. In fact, when coffee reached Europe in the 17th century, it sparked a revolution of sorts. Not a political one, mind you, but a social and intellectual awakening.
Okay, now you've got my attention. European coffee houses during the Enlightenment. That sounds like a recipe for some seriously stimulating conversation. Were they really as impactful as the history books make them seem?
Oh, absolutely.
You walk into a dimly lit coffee house. The air thick with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and lively chatter. Around you, intellectuals, artists, philosophers, even revolutionaries, engrossed in passionate debates, sharing radical ideas that would shape the course of history. These coffee houses weren't just coffee shops, they were the original penny universities.
Penny universities. I love that.
Wow.
Knowledge and caffeine accessible to anyone with a penny to spare. It sounds like the 17th century version of TED Talks, but fueled by coffee instead of those little cucumber sandwiches.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just all intellectual banter, right? Didn't some significant institutions sprout from these coffee-fueled gatherings?
You hit the nail on the head. The London Stock Exchange, for instance, has its roots in these very coffee houses. Imagine merchants and traders fueled by caffeine and the thrill of the deal, striking agreements that would shape the future of global finance, all within the cozy confines of a coffee house.
Wow, talk about high-stakes coffee break. It's mind-blowing how something as simple as a coffee house could give rise to such influential institutions.
It speaks volumes about the power of shared spaces, and of course shared beverages, to foster innovation, collaboration, and even revolutionize entire industries.
It makes you wonder if those 17th century coffee houses had some secret productivity formula hidden in plain sight.
Right.
Like maybe a good dose of caffeine and lively debate is all we need to jumpstart innovation even today.
It's an intriguing thought, but as much as I enjoy picturing myself in those bustling penny universities, we do have a few centuries to cover. Coffee's story doesn't end in the 17th century. It continues to evolve, taking on new roles and meanings as we move into the 20th and 21st centuries.
So less about revolutions and stock exchanges, and more about what exactly? How has coffee's place in our modern world changed?
Well, in some ways, it's become even more fascinating. Coffee is more accessible than ever, but it's also become deeply personal, a form of self-expression, a way to connect with a global community, and even a source of debate about ethical sourcing and consumption.
Okay, I'm hooked. Self-expression. Are we talking about latte art in those Instagram-worthy coffee shops?
That's definitely part of it, but it goes beyond the aesthetics. Different cultures have truly embraced coffee and infused it with their own unique rituals and preferences, reflecting their values and lifestyles. Take Italy, for example. They've transformed the simple act of drinking espresso into an art form.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just a drink in Italy, it's an experience.
Precisely. You order at the bar standing shoulder to shoulder with locals, maybe exchange a few words with the barista. It's a quick burst of intense flavor and social connection. And then you have fika in Sweden.
Yes. Fika, it sounds so cozy. I've heard it's more than just a coffee break, right?
Exactly.
It's a chilly afternoon in Stockholm. You step into a charming cafe, the aroma of cinnamon buns and freshly brewed coffee welcoming you in. You settle into a comfy armchair, a warm drink in hand, and lose yourself in conversation with friends or colleagues, or maybe just a good book. Fika is about slowing down, savoring the moment, and connecting with others. A true reflection of the Swedish emphasis on work-life balance and well-being.
It sounds like the perfect antidote to our fast-paced, always-on culture. And then there's Japan, a culture renowned for its meticulous attention to detail, which extends even to their coffee.
Absolutely. In Japan, coffee brewing is a true craft, a meditative practice almost. Precision quality and a deep respect for the beans are paramount. They've elevated coffee to an art form with intricate brewing methods like pour-over and siphon brewing.
It's incredible how this one bean can inspire such wildly different cultural traditions around the world. But speaking of global coffee culture, we'd be remiss not to mention the giant in the room, Starbucks. Love them or hate them, they've certainly left their mark on the coffee world.
Ah, yes, Starbucks. They've undeniably played a pivotal role in shaping how we consume and perceive coffee today, for better or for worse.
I mean, their global reach is undeniable. They've made coffee ubiquitous, a staple of daily life available at any hour. But there's always been this debate, right? Have they homogenized coffee culture, or have they made it more accessible?
It's a complex question with no easy answer. Some argue that Starbucks, with its standardized menus and global presence, has diluted the unique character of local coffee cultures. Others appreciate the consistency, convenience, and familiarity they offer.
It's interesting, though, because while Starbucks might represent this mass-market approach to coffee, there's a whole other movement brewing the rise of specialty coffee. It's like a direct response to this idea of mass-produced, standardized coffee.
Precisely. More and more people are becoming true coffee connoisseurs, wanting to know where their beans are from how they were grown and if the farmers were treated fairly.
It's like coffee is coming full circle. Remember those early Ethiopian goat herders so in tune with nature and appreciating this special bean? Now we're seeing a return to those values, a desire for quality, sustainability, and ethical sourcing.
Exactly. And it's not just about the beans themselves. It's about acknowledging the impact of our coffee consumption on the planet and the people who grow and harvest it. Which brings us to the economics of coffee. This isn't just a casual beverage, it's a global powerhouse.
Absolutely. We're talking about the livelihoods of millions of farmers, primarily in developing countries, whose lives are directly tied to coffee cultivation. This tiny bean packs a huge economic punch.
It truly does. Coffee is one of the most valuable traded commodities globally, second only to oil in terms of its economic impact. For many developing countries, it's a lifeline, a crucial source of income for millions of families.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Every time we enjoy a cup of coffee, we're participating in this intricate global network.
That's precisely why ethical consumption and fair trade practices are so crucial. By making conscious choices about the coffee we buy, we can help ensure that farmers are paid a fair wage, that their communities thrive, and that the environment is protected.
So when we talk about coffee's cultural impact, it's not just about those lively debates in Viennese cafes or the art of Japanese pour-over. It's about acknowledging the human story behind every cup, the connections we forge, and the responsibility we share.
You've hit the nail on the head. Coffee is a powerful reminder that even the seemingly small choices we make can have ripple effects around the world. And it highlights something truly remarkable about this beverage.
What's that?
Coffee has this remarkable ability to transcend cultural boundaries and bring people together. Regardless of language, background, or beliefs, that shared experience of enjoying a cup of coffee creates a connection, a sense of community.
And it's not just about casual coffee dates or grabbing a latte on the go. Think about those ancient coffee ceremonies like the ones in Ethiopia passed down through generations, where coffee is so much more than a drink. It's woven into the very fabric of their culture.
Absolutely. The Ethiopian coffee ceremony is a beautiful example of how coffee can be a central part of social bonding and hospitality. The roasting, grinding, brewing, and serving of the coffee are done with such care and attention. It's a truly immersive sensory experience, a way to honor guests, share stories, and strengthen community bonds.
Wow, listening to you describe that, it makes my rushed morning coffee routine seem almost sacrilegious. There's such a rich history and tradition behind a single cup that we often overlook.
It's easy to forget, especially in our fast-paced world, that coffee at its core is about slowing down, connecting, and appreciating the simple act of sharing a cup with others. And that simple act has had a profound influence on human creativity.
You're right. It's not just in these beautiful ceremonies that we see coffee's cultural impact. It's everywhere. Art, literature, music, you name it, coffee has likely fueled it. Just think about all those famous writers and thinkers who found inspiration in coffee houses, from the intellectuals of the Enlightenment to the beat poets of the 20th century.
It's true. Coffee has been a constant companion to artists, writers, and thinkers for centuries. Its aroma and taste intertwined with the creative process itself.
It makes you wonder if those penny universities were really onto something. Maybe all we need is a good cup of coffee to unlock our own hidden genius.
Who knows? Perhaps there's a touch of truth to that. But even if it doesn't turn us into literary masters, there's no denying that coffee has a way of stimulating conversation, sparking ideas, and fostering that sense of community that often leads to breakthroughs.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as a cup of coffee can be a source of inspiration, connection, and even revolution.
It really is. It speaks to the enduring power of coffee, not just as a beverage, but as a cultural touchstone, an economic force, and a catalyst for human interaction.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive, from ancient Ethiopian legends to the rise of global coffee culture. As we reach the bottom of our coffee cup, so to speak, what are some key takeaways you hope our listeners are walking away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is the realization that coffee is so much more than just a drink. It's a tapestry woven from history, culture, economics, and human connection. It's a reminder that even the simplest act of enjoying a cup of coffee connects us to a global story that's been brewing for centuries.
It's like holding a tiny piece of history in your hands with each sip, and it really makes you appreciate that next cup of coffee on a whole new level.
Absolutely. Whether you're a seasoned coffee aficionado or just starting to explore the world of coffee, there's always something new to discover, a new layer to uncover in this fascinating global story.
So to wrap things up, what's one thought-provoking question our listener can ponder as they savor their next cup?
Here's one to chew on. Knowing what you now know about coffee's journey, the triumphs, the struggles, the global impact, how can you make your own coffee consumption more mindful and meaningful?
That's a powerful question to end on. It's a good reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the future of coffee one cup at a time. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of coffee. It's been a real eye-opener.
The pleasure was all mine.
Yeah.
Until next time.